I was close to just going to bed today and putting the covers on us and ignoring the world, but I've forced myself to come and do this, otherwise we'll never get done.
Now it's your turn for me to ask you. So
yeah,
I think you're more authentic. You can express your inner angst and depressive side, and we can get it all out there.
Right. Oh, that might take a while, but yeah, let's go. Had a bit of a dysfunctional family life growing up. So my mum and dad met at a special needs school for children with special learning difficulties. So it was a difficult upbringing. Probably in today's society, I would have been taken out of that environment. So yeah, it was very dysfunctional, very seeing both parents have various nervous breakdowns and various mental health conditions, very weird psychopathic behaviour and cruelty and all sorts of shit. Gents, welcome to the Abnormies podcast, episode 2. I am Si. Joining me, as always, is Brandur. What's happening, mate?
What's up?
Good. Well, I say good. I've had to force myself to do this this episode. It's been a bit of a black cloud period of time.
It's been a while. We've been trying to do episode for what, weeks?
Since episode 1. Health has been diminishing rapidly.
Yeah. Well, it's December. It's like, here in Iceland, it's taken for granted that half the nation is depressed and the rest of the nation is irritated that the other half are being so slow. And it's nice we hibernate.
I would love to hibernate. Yeah. I was close to just going to bed today and putting the covers on us and ignoring the world, but I've forced myself to come and do this, otherwise we'll never get done. So
well, it's great that now it's your turn for me to ask you. So I think you're more authentic. You can express your inner angst and depressive side, and we can get it all out there.
Right. Oh, that might take a while, but yeah, let's go.
All right. So I got some questions just to make it easy for me to go through it. So starting with the most basic one, just who are you?
I'm just a regular guy from the northeast of England. I live in a small fishing town connected to a big city. Lots of poverty, working class area. Lots of humor, I would say. Very resilient people. Very self-derogatory, which I suppose goes a lot with the English in general. Don't take things too seriously. But then again, tend not to talk about feelings and things and bottle it all in, swallow it down, keep it pressed right down until one day it explodes. That kind of mentality. So, that's pretty much it. I was had a bit of a dysfunctional family life growing up, which we can touch on in other episodes. It will take a lot to get through. Family life, it was pretty complicated, to say the least. Yeah. So, be living
with your mom and dad.
Me mum.
Yeah.
Mum and dad was split up. I'll briefly I may as well briefly touch on it, just to set the mood. So my mum and dad met at a special needs school for children with special learning difficulties. So it was a difficult upbringing. Probably in today's today's society, I would have been taken out of that environment. But I grew up in the 80s, and that's just the way it was. So yeah, it was very dysfunctional, very odd behaviour. Seeing both parents have various nervous breakdowns and various mental health conditions, and just very weird psychopathic behaviour and cruelty and all sorts of shit. So yeah, just but I didn't know any different at the time, really. A lot of people where I lived had like, I would say 90% grew up in single parent households. I know the school I went to, there was lots of parents were drug addicts, alcoholics, violent, abusive, and it was just, I don't want to say normal, but it wasn't uncommon.
Yeah.
So
a lot of that in Iceland. Around me as well. I was lucky. I didn't grow up around that, but kids in school, you didn't know what was going on, but today, looking back, you realize that those were the kids with the violent parents, and not necessarily violent, but
Yeah.
Do you think that's improved in your area? Has that changed now?
Slightly, I would say. The governmental, like the council and the I'm trying to think of them. I'm not great with fetching words to me head when I need them. I want a lot of medication. I'll blame the medication and the booze. It's improved the way that they have like care workers and social workers attached to like parents. So it has improved in that respect, but I think the drug addiction, the alcoholism, the violence, I don't think it has improved. I think it's I just think it would take a hell of a lot of change to the area for it to improve.
While drugs now,
sorry.
There are new types of drugs now that people are addicted to.
It's pretty much the same two that cause them the majority of problems where I'm from, at least. It's alcohol and heroin. They seem to be the two main destructive drugs. And that, again, I don't think that's changed. As far back as I can remember, I don't think that's changed. I know cocaine's more prevalent, but cocaine's more of like an accepted, socially accepted drug, when it's more so like young people when they go out to have coke. It's not really like because of the expense of it as well. It's so expensive. It's not really like you don't really find like a lot of parents with coke problems. I dare say that there will be some, but I would say it's mainly alcohol and heroin's the main ones.
I remember there was a study where they were looking at like the flow out of toilets, the accumulated flow from different neighborhoods, and you could basically see what kind of neighborhood based on the prevalence of this drug rather than that drug.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cocaine. It was generally an upscale neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Coke. It's just like it's just so widely accepted in society, especially in the UK. I think we're the highest for the size of our population. We're the highest per capita cocaine users in the world.
I tried it a long time ago. I did not like it. It was not for me. My ego became, I was like, I am the greatest human being alive, which I already feel that way. So I did cocaine to mess it up.
I have no comment on that. I still do children's illustrations. Nah, fuck it. No, I did enjoy cocaine. Yeah, I did.
All right. We can change the
No, it's fine. It's fine. My kid's author career is not going to take off anyway. I mean, I'm in a depressive mood. Everything's going to shit. Fuck it. Let's just tell the truth.
Yeah, I think so. Give him reality. I mean, that's where they're going to grow up. But
I was heavily into cocaine, gambling, and I've luckily never become an alcoholic. I'm just like a full-time drinker.
I've seen like one of the most dangerous combination is like online poker and amphetamines or something like that. And then these dudes are just online for 2-3 days straight until they have psychotic breaks.
I fell asleep playing online. It was always the slots, the fruit machines with all the flashy lights.
Yeah.
That was always my thing. I never played any of the table games. That was my vice. But I remember falling asleep, still gambling, still. So, I've got quite an addictive personality. Yeah.
Well, I used to play poker, and I would do rather well until one day I would come home after having been out partying and drinking, and then I would go, and then I'd lose, and then I'd think, yeah, am I going to win it all back in the next hand? And then generally I would lose in 1 hour everything that had taken me like 2-3 weeks to build up intelligently and slowly and calculated. But, alcohol and good decisions, definitely not.
Yeah. Again, the UK is a hotbed for problem gamblers. I don't know what it's like over in Iceland, but over here, it's everywhere. Like, I'm a huge football fan, so I watch every match that I can that's on TV, and there's gambling ads everywhere. Free bonus, free bets, free sign-up bonus, and that's we have betting shops on the high street, and there's big signs in the window saying free bonus, matched bonus, free spins, free this, free that. You could win up to. And
well, we have some limitations to gambling, and casinos aren't allowed. There are some underground casinos pop up every now and then where you can go and play these things, and they were fighting to get poker legalized. So I think you can play poker now, but generally, we are very conscious of gambling addiction, that it is an addiction, just like other drugs. And I got a very close friend of mine. He lost his mom to these things, so through him, I've kind of been more aware of it. I never thought about it myself. I never felt addicted to it. I mean, it was really fun when I really got into it, but I would always kind of get bored and stop.
Yeah, I was definitely hugely addicted. But again, I don't think it was because it wasn't about the money. I could win any amount of money and I wouldn't be happy. It was about that escapism that the gambling brought. I suppose that's the same with drugs.
So how is it when it pulls you back in? I mean, what is it that you're chasing? Is it
escapism?
It's not the possibility of winning at all.
It's known over here as the gambler's bubble, where it's just you and a machine, and time kind of doesn't exist when you're on that machine. And you do it. It's the near wins that get you the blood pumping and the excitement levels up. So I suppose it's definitely a form of escapism because it was never about the money. So, but I haven't done that for a long time. I've managed to. Basically, there was a lot of regulations came in, so I could ban myself now from. Or I banned, so I can't gamble online. My passport and everything's banned by every single gambling association. Every new company has to. It's the gambling association have to register with them, and there's a list of people who have blocked themselves from having an account. So all my legal documents are on that. So there's no way I can. If I went onto a website now and tried to sign up, I wouldn't be able to do so.
Oh, that's cool.
That's been a great help.
Yeah.
And as with the the fruit machines because we have fruit machines here in pubs, in clubs. We also have them in takeaways. You know, when you go in for food, you can gamble while you're getting food. They're everywhere. So, but
who runs the machines?
Who's what?
Who makes the money from the machines? Is it just the private company, or
it's private companies who hire the machines out, and the establishment get a cut?
In Iceland, it's only like I think it's the university and like the Red Cross. They kind of have special permission for running the only slot machines here, which is kind of debated. It's kind of them making money off of addiction is not very cool. But so far they haven't changed the regulation. But I don't think shops are allowed to run it. But they share the profit then with probably Red Cross, I think.
Yeah, not any company can sign up.
Yeah, right.
There's a new little loophole that they have to kick back a certain percentage towards the responsible gambling campaign. I'm not sure how. I think that's a drop in the ocean, to be honest. I remember once me and my wife Googled gambling help with problem gambling. The first result that came up was for a betting website. So yeah. I don't think the government. I think the government turned a blind eye because of the amount of money they make because it's highly taxed.
Yeah. Probably.
But anyone can set up a company as long as they register with the gambling association. Anyone can set up a company. So
I suppose it's another one of those like class division type things where if you're wealthy and in a good situation, you can afford also having an addiction like that, but also getting help.
You tend not to find betting shops in prevalent areas.
Yeah,
it's
they have a different form of betting.
Yeah, underprivileged working class areas where you'll find littered with what we call them bookmakers. So they get shortened to bookies. So the high streets in underprivileged areas are littered with them. But not just them. We'll have amusement arcades where it's the same kind of machines. You just can't make sports bets. But there's hundreds and hundreds of types of various gambling machines you go in.
And
they've all got like thingies on the window saying, "Come in, free bets, free spins.
We buy gold."
Yeah. We've got tons of them. Pawn shops.
Yeah, I think those go well, next to each other, hand in hand.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Steal some shit.
Money lenders, pawn shops, hire purchase shops. So if you need to buy like a Christmas present, say you wanted to buy a PlayStation, say it retailed at £500, you'd have to pay £1,300, but pay it off in installments. Scandalous behaviour, unscrupulous companies.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I think this kind of thing is banned in Iceland. We have more protectionism.
There is lobbying. There's a lot of lobbying going on here because of the amount of suicides. It tends to be majority male, young male, gambling addicts have committed suicide because of the debt they've got themselves into. So there is a lot of lobbying of the government, but as of yet, there hasn't been any real change.
My third question was going to be, how was your childhood? So I think we covered that. My second question, I was going to start on a lighter note, going for, what is your favorite color? Monty Python quote.
Right.
people dig that anymore. But what's your favorite book? Do you have a favorite book?
I have a few. And it's hard to say favorite because I guess I'll say had the most impact was probably Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion, which I read at a time when I was going through like existential crisis, and it kind of nailed on my atheistic beliefs, I suppose. But it also turned me into a bit of a prick. It's just the way I would shut anyone down with any kind of spiritual beliefs, or I would just Do you know what I mean? I will say over the quarter of a century since I read that book, I have toned down, and my views are changing, not towards organized religion, but towards spirituality. And
I've gone through the same. I've opened up a lot more to like communication, and a lot of the time, instead of being really aggressive right away, I'll kind of, all right, maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Yeah,
maybe she doesn't mean exactly what he is saying.
Yeah. I was a staunch, very opinionated atheist for a long time, and I think it got to the point where I started even annoying myself. We're just having arguments that were never going to be won, and but then I went through like life-changing scenarios and had experiences I couldn't explain. And
give me one.
I didn't want to put that down to like, oh, that's definitely, because I don't believe that there is an omnipresent divine ruler who cares where you put your genitals. That's never good. I'm never gonna buy into that ever.
No. And he wants you to worship. He's angry because he wants you to worship him.
George Carlin,
made this special place to burn you forever if you don't, go on your knees.
So I'm never gonna buy into that.
I did a bit of sociology, and there you kind of think about religion in that context. Then you think about, like, if you get people to believe in an afterlife, then you motivate them to be better people in this life because of a reward that they're going to receive once they're dead. So it's just behavioral, social control mechanisms. But as an individual, it's different.
Well, that was always my big gripe with religion. Obviously there was people had their other arguments, but my big thing about why people believe was fear of death. That was the only thing. That was the only thing that I could reason it down to rationally in my head, because I could get that. I could understand that concept that it's a fear of not wanting to burn for eternity, or never getting to see your loved ones again. I totally get why people can cling to that. And I get why people who may have lost children go and see spiritualists, even though I think they're fucking disgusting heathens for taking money off people in a vulnerable time. I can see why the parents of lost children would try and seek solace in that. I can understand that.
Of course, yeah. I think that is. I read once that was one of the foundations of human society, and it's how religion came in. Created social cohesion on a scale that had never existed before. And that most religions built on satiating that fear of death and also just the pain of loss. Like losing so there's a continuity. So I think that's definitely something that, you see it from how people buried people with all their shit. They assume, here, take your sword with you wherever you're going.
Yeah. It's completely understandable that if you've lost someone super close to you, and then there's someone with a long beard in garbs that try to look like superior is telling you that one day you will get to see that person again, then I can see why people would cling to that. Completely, it's understandable, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a challenge. In Iceland, you can found ideology, like a life philosophy. So it's the same category as a religion. So we've been thinking about founding one where the goal is basically to use the tax exemptions that you get and try to channel the funding that you get for having followers into like social improvement projects and social investment projects. But in order to do that, you have to create a manifesto. That's kind of been where we've stopped so far, and I hesitate to, go there. But if you had to make a manifesto, what would you put into a religious manifesto?
It would have to be something similar to a Bible commandment, like about treat that others as you wish to be treated yourself. I think that's
a good one.
But yeah, that would be it. Like, just don't be a dick to people.
Can I have one more book?
One more book. So I've got loads of it coming to my head from like recently. All I think of is Ready Player One was the last one that I really read that I super enjoyed.
Let's talk about that one. I love that one.
Yeah, and I think reading that and then getting into the field that we're in, or we're trying to get in, the metaverse.
Yeah.
It kind of, yeah.
Have you tried? I don't remember if we talked about this last time. Did you? Have you tried the Hololens?
No.
That one. A friend of mine lent it to me for a week, and right. I got like probably 30 people over that week that came over to try it, and it's insane. I mean, it's crazy. You just you manifest a hologram, and it'll be floating in the air in front of you, and then you just place it wherever you want, and there it is. And one thing I did, I decorated our bedroom for my girlfriend at the time, and then she came in, put on the HoloLens, and looked around, and it was all very gay and festive, and very impressed. And
apologies about that. We had a brief technical error. We just mentioned HoloLens.
Yeah, and you notice that's when the robots took over, and suddenly I couldn't understand you anymore.
Wow.
I think, just so I stated clearly, I, for one, welcome our future robotic overlords.
I do. I will happily take the knee to our cyborg leaders, definitely.
Spare me and my family.
Well, me and you have a dream of being part cyborg, so...
Yeah.
Maybe we could be the first kind of experimental...
You can be the first, I'll be the second.
Right, okay.
Have you seen some of the cyborgs already existing? There's some really trippy YouTube videos. What's one guy? I think he's their leader. He has an antenna.
Right.
This guy is colorblind, and he had this antenna installed. And if I remember correctly, the antenna picks up color and translates it into like noise, like a frequency. So green is beep, yellow is blue, or whatever.
Yeah.
So if he looks at somebody really colorful, up and down, it'll be like a symphony. Wow. The white dude is going to be, But
I mean, I don't want to make fun of any disabilities, but that sounds gloriously impractical.
It looks gloriously impractical, like hanging out of his head. But I mean, he's made a career out of it, and he's a pioneer. So I mean, I think that's bloody cool.
Oh, definitely.
And of course, I like there was another one. He talks about, actually, there was a woman who had some kind of implant installed under her skin that was linked up through some kind of means to like a database of earthquakes, so that whenever there was an earthquake somewhere in the world, there would be a slight vibration that related to the size of the earthquake. Yeah. So she was now just constantly conscious of the vibrations of the planet. And then, as she described it, I mean, for the first week or 2 or 3, she didn't sleep much because there's always earthquakes somewhere. But with time, it just kind of it became almost soothing, just kind of listening to the tremors of the earth. And there was one more. There was this one is something that I think everybody should try. There's like a belt that you can DIY fairly simply. And it'll have like, 16 vibrating little elements to it spread out around the belt. Yeah. And then you connect it to your phone, and it will always know which way is north. And the particular vibration device that is closest to north will vibrate a little bit. So what does that mean? I mean, they did an experiment. They would take people without the belt. They would put them on a starting point, and they would draw some symbol in front of them, an 8 or a box or a triangle or whatever. And And then they would blindfold them and say, all right, so walk the symbol in front of you blindfolded. People were very bad at it, Turned out that this is not a skill that is innate in human beings.
Yeah.
But once they got the belt and were blindfolded, their accuracy became, extreme. They would follow the lines almost, completely, which is really cool. But the really interesting thing I thought was that then, after having done this a few times, they would take the belt off, and people would retain the ability that they had learned by kind of following a different tune. So you're using the belt to kind of change the way that you are approaching reality through your brain or consciousness.
Yeah,
using a different sensory mode or something like that. So I think those kinds of things are going to be really interesting, and like in relation to virtual reality and augmented reality. I mean, just being able to see all the radio waves around us would be really cool. You walk into a room and you immediately see the Wi-Fi signal just bouncing around the room.
I think I would find that a bit scary, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, we're going to be more and more aware of how bombarded we are by all kinds of electromagnetic waves and crazy shit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think in certain aspects, I prefer to live in ignorance.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. I kind of like diving into it and and then recovering.
Yeah.
Spending a week alone in my dark room. Then eventually there was a guy I was listening to the other day. He was explaining how when he was a child, he went through a traumatic experience, but you realize that you most of us only have a certain duration to tolerate. Like, oh, I went off track there. I don't know what I'm talking about. No. I'm going to shut up.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So you sent me a video a few days ago of you. I forgot to mention this. Of you in the gym, and you are lifting weights with your arm lying flat. And I was meant to ask you, but I don't know if I did. So when you were given your diagnosis, like the last time, kind of when they said it was like kind of full paralysis, were you told at any point that you would never then be able to do that, move your arms like that again?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, tricky part is I got a lot of different diagnoses along the way. So some of them would have meant that I would have ended up, completely paralyzed for a while until my heart or my lungs would stop working. But then, as none of those diagnoses turned out to be true, nobody really knows what's going on. But my doctors are they've been very surprised by my progress. Kind of assume that once you deteriorate to a certain point and you are like that for a certain amount of time, the likelihood of recovery is very low. And I kind of understand why. I mean, the effort I had to go through just to get out of like my steady decline and into like a steady state, that was insane. And if anybody is able to do that without outside help, that is a superhuman, real person. I mean, I had this Indian guru guy who would come and just, yell support at me, like, come on, you can do it, brother, go, 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 for months before. And then it took, like a year after that until I finally started kind of, having that momentum. You know what I mean? It's like.
So there was a stage where you couldn't do what you were doing the other day, lifting your arm like that.
Yeah, I was completely paralyzed below the neck. At some point, I couldn't move any part of my body. Like, I would have involuntary, subconscious contractions of various parts of my body, and like every now and then, like for about 3 years after I lost most of my mobility in my hand, I had like this, like a yawning feeling. It's very similar to like a yawn, but I would tense up in my neck, and then my arm would go out, my finger would go out, and I would have like a 6-second window to get my finger up my nose and scratch, right. And then I would lose again, and then I'd have to wait for the next kind of wave to happen.
Yeah. So when you obviously, if anyone's listening to this on any of the audio podcasting platforms, please go back to our YouTube channel where you can see us in all of our gloriousness. You sitting where you're sitting now, are you able to move is it your fingers, your hands? Wow.
How's that?
That was fucking great.
Yeah.
Does that take like an immense amount of effort?
Well, yeah. I mean, so the process has been like, in the beginning, I feel like I'm trying to lift a ton and nothing happens, and then I'm lifting still a ton and something a little bit happens, and then a lot happens. And like now, what I've been doing is I lay the chair down, so I'm almost fully inclined, and then I'm able to get my elbow above my head, and then I kind of pull my wrist towards my head and back out. So we're working on that now, trying to build that up. So so what you see now is kind of the result of like a couple of months of work, and as I do it more and more, it gets easier and easier. So like now, I don't feel extremely tired after doing that, but I do feel it though.
Yeah.
But the main thing is though that like I used to describe it. What happened to me is like I'm a string puppet, and all my wires got mixed up. So if I pull on one wire, all the 3 wires get activated. So when I'm lifting my hand, my hip, my back, my buttocks, everything gets clenched, clenched tight. So a lot of it, it's not just about activating this muscle and this muscle. It's about relaxing these muscles at the same time that I'm exerting these muscles.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, completely. I'm having not similar, but certain aspects are similar.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Well, so obviously since the first podcast, it's been about 3-4 weeks since we recorded. Haven't been particularly great. I can feel the decline of my body really. So I've been bedbound a few times where I can't. If I move at all, it's either the doctors have said it's one of 2 things. It's because the lumbar, the lower of my back, where I've had discs removed. Pick up, doggy.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm walking with a stick there.
Yeah, I don't know. The little one thinks he's a dog, but you couldn't.
We're hiding his treats.
No, somebody knocked.
All right.
I may be getting a package. I don't know.
Oh, anyway. From Colombia?
No. It's if it's what I think let's see. It might be my brain scanner.
Wow.
Yes, it's my brain. I'll show you in a moment.
Yeah, cool.
Tell me. So had discs removed. That sounds fucking.
Yeah, so I've had discs removed from the bottom of my back, and I've had 3 removed or partially removed from my neck. Yeah.
They can do that?
Yeah. So the bottom ones, they're not going to take any more out because that would ultimately be wheelchair territory. So the kind of like it just goes wear and tear where they're just kind of grinding against each other. So like the pain is just makes you feel sick when I try and move. It just It's just agony. But then because I've got this side effect called clonus, which is like a spasm, like MS, all down my right side.
I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
So that triggers that off, and once that starts, the pain is just it keeps going because the clonus won't stop.
Yeah.
So I have to dope myself up on. I've been taking morphine, diazepam, baclofen, gabapentin, codeine, and which just knocks us out.
That's an intense cocktail.
So, and I get these flare-ups which last about a week. This is the third one I've had in a space of 3 months. So that takes a lot out of us mentally as well. Because it just feels like in the last year, because it was only this time last year where things were starting to get, the clonus was starting to get really bad. I'd already been diagnosed in the summer, but I was waiting for the operation. But at that stage, this time last year, I hadn't yet been told that all of the damage that was being continuously done was irreversible to the spinal cord. They hadn't told me that. So I was under the impression that I was going to have this operation to relieve the pressure on my spinal cord, and then everything would resolve. And I didn't get to hear that wasn't the case until late January. So it's kind of like, the last 18 months went from being able to do anything physically within reason to like very little. So I think I'm still at the adjustment stage where the loss of independence is getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a rough transition, definitely.
Yeah, it's been a bit shit.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know. It's funny, like because when I'm meeting people who are going through something that sounds like something that I went through, trying to give out advice is always a bit strange, because, like, you know, when it came to me, myself, a lot of the things that I told myself was just, you know, that's it. You just gotta deal with it. You know, there's nothing, no miracle, and nothing gonna happen. If you want to recover, it's gonna be fucking hard and difficult, and you just kind of, you know, okay, all right, you know, today is a shitty day. That's okay. I'm just gonna feel sorry for myself for a day.
Yeah.
Then tomorrow, I'm gonna drink a Coca-Cola. I'm gonna have a little cake, or do whatever. I try not to do every day, but like just give myself a little treat, and then try to get myself going, and then. But I think a support structure is essential. I mean, it's like having people around you and having a society that gives a shit. I mean, I think, and those things are worth fighting for. So I think when I got disabled, a lot of things were not good, and my future was basically looked like I was going to end up in a old people's home or like a care facility with five, six other people, and some of them with physical, other with mental limitations, and then that would be my life for the rest of however long it would last.
Strange you should say that. Like I say, it's been the best part of 2 weeks when I've been bedbound, and I was looking for some kind of respite clinic service where I could get myself checked into, because obviously I've got 2 kids and my wife works, so I wanted to release the burden on her. And the only facilities I could find were old people's homes for people with dementia. It seemed to be the only.
Yeah. So it was like that for it was like that for a long time, but in Iceland. But there was like so I think there's an association called Sjálfsbjörg, which means it means like self-help anyway. But it's for mobility impaired people. It was founded like 60, 70 years ago, something like that. At the time, if you became disabled, you ended up in an old people's home. So the very few people who were disabled here eventually gathered up together, and they founded this association. And they built this one building, which is in the middle of Reykjavik. And through that, we've had so much of our social improvements have occurred as a consequence of that, community coming together, fighting together for their rights. And I was very lucky. I met some very groovy people early on in my disability who were able to kind of, help me understand how the system works.
Yeah.
And with them, we fought for this thing called MPA, user-assisted or user-directed assistance.
Yeah.
So now, and it took 7 years from the moment where the government said, like, right, this is a good idea, we'll do this, until they actually did it, and in large part because we helped write the laws and kind of frame the structure around it.
Yeah.
But for now, I have 24-hour, 24/7 assistance. I get funding from the government. We made our own institute that handles all the salaries and legal issues and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I have a full-time health care that allows me to live a very close to normal life. Of course, I'm limited. I can't do shit, but I can go to my meetings, and
we haven't quite caught up on that level over here. We get obviously I can get a vehicle, which is great, and have the tax paid and have any alterations done, which is very good. Obviously, I understand if there's people watching that don't live in countries such as ours, this is going to seem like I have an abundance of things. But I suppose when you're used to a certain way of life and that gets taken away from you, no matter which country you live in, you're going to feel a little bit like shit, because like at the moment, my wife's business has been struggling, so her hours have been cut. So I receive, it's called personal independent payment, which is like £400 per month, and it's either that or the car that you get. That's the choice. You get the £400 a month, or you get the car.
Okay.
And and then anything else, it's what you were talking about, like where there's some kind of place or where you can go and disabled people like come together. With the government, I don't want to get too political, but with the government over here, it's kind of it's on us to prove that we are disabled and we cannot do certain tasks, and it's like you have to go through a lot of rigorous humiliation. There's stories all the time of people who are in a lot worse situations than me ending their life because they were told, no, you can't get a job. You can, and just look on grip, and it's I haven't quite caught up yet. On the social care aspect over here.
I went through that when I was so in order to get disability, you have to go through this filter where I had to do this like 3 times or something. Some 2 strange people who are very emotionally cold would be asking questions like, how many times a day do you need to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Do you require help? What kind of help?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound so bad, but I don't know. It was like,
it's a bit demeaning. Yeah.
It's very demeaning. And at the same time, it's like, you're kind of learning to cope. You're like, all right, positivity, optimism, like, I've lost a lot, but here's all the good stuff. Then they kind of like, all right, so tell us about all your bad stuff. Bring it all up. And every time I did that, I would just fall into like a really deep depression for like a week or 2 afterwards. And then, I kind of recover, but, and because a lot of the time they're always looking for a reason to say no.
Yeah.
They'll say no on like, really stupid logic. So it was.
I mean, luckily for me, that it was all done remotely because it was during COVID, so everything was done on Zoom. So occasionally I would turn the camera away and swear at my wife, "Fucking cunt you!" And then I could turn back away, because again they're asking just about wiping your bum and just things. I'm like, oh man, I was still trying to come to terms with the fact that there were certain things I couldn't do, and they just. You're right. It was just so cold and clinical. And every answer, if you had to go into detail, there was no like, oh, that must be really hard. It was like, okay. And next, can you manage to piss?
Do you masturbate? So you can't masturbate. So what do you do?
Well, no, because we're asking us all this, and at the same time, I had a piss bag attached to my leg. It was just like, oh, fucking just kill me now. Do you know what I mean? It was quite.
Well, I learned. I realized early on that ideally, if you do find yourself in this situation, your best option is to become either really wealthy or really famous, preferably both. And that way, the social structure, they'll hesitate to be so absolutely dickish to you. Yeah. But early on, my mom's friend, she helped me a lot. She is like, she's the head of like the legal department in the University of Iceland. Yeah. So one day I asked her to come with me, and then she didn't do anything. She just came into the meeting, sat down next to me, and then people came and like, all right, so we're ready to start. And then I'm Brandur. This is my friend, and she introduced her like, I am the head of the legal department of the University of Iceland. I kind of felt like I'd showed up to the meeting, pulled out a big ass gun, put it on the table, just kind of like, all right, I'm ready now. Fuck with me. And,
that's a good tip. I need to find me one of those.
Yeah, fine. But all right. So I don't know how general these tips are, but let's throw a few tips that I found useful. Like one is if you're applying for something in relation to the government, try to get your physiotherapist, your doctor, your psychologist, your priest, whoever it is, everybody to write a letter. Just a little letter that says like, I know this guy.
I'm just going to quickly cut in just you might get an example of what how overwhelmed the NHS has been. So I had my operation, my surgery, in February of this year, and I was meant to see my physio 6-week follow-up appointment. Okay, my 6-week follow-up appointment from February of 2021 takes place. I'll not show this because it's got all my details. Takes place on Monday, the 10th of January, 2022. That is my 6-week first appointment with my physio.
Jesus.
11 months after the operation. So
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's hasn't been the greatest of I've kind of like had this operation, and then at the same time being told it's irreversible and you could get worse. Now off you go. Do you know? And there's been no like follow-ups, or luckily I've got a good GP who's been trying to push things forward, and he's been experimenting with the medication, and he's been trying his best to help out. But he's just a GP. Do you know what I mean? He's not a neurosurgeon. He's not special. He's not a specialist. So yeah, it just keeps pushed out. Like
I'm losing you again. We're getting invaded by the robots.
Right, man.
Is there any thoughts can we turn on and off the mic? Or?
Yeah, I'll try that. Right, I'm back. Is that any better?
No, same. No.
Right, I'll have to re-invite you back in again.
Well, right? It's kind of better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear okay or not?
Yeah, no, it's fine. What you do?
Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, it kind of felt like that was the operation, given that devastating news, then just being left to wallow in depression for a year.
Yeah, I mean that's it's not acceptable.
Mm.
I mean that's suicide rates are it's not acceptable. So it's I mean it's stupid. I mean I think there's plenty of existing research that says for every pound that you spend on physiotherapy, on average you get like 8 back, because people get back to work, start contributing to society, and don't become disabled. So
yeah,
so it's just one of those things which I don't know why it's not better. I mean, things are always improving in Iceland, but we're a tiny country, so making big changes is much easier in many ways.
I know a lot of has been placed at the doorstep of COVID that has been used as a reason for lots of things. So, but it is what it is. You know, nothing can be done about it.
It is. We are in unprecedented times, of course. Now with COVID.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, listen, mate. We're coming to the hour now. I want to say thanks for coming on and doing this with us, because I felt really I didn't have the energy to speak before we started, and now I do feel better chatting.
You're a really chatty box. We had fun. I only got into like 3 of my 10. I was going to ask, how did you meet your wife? How did you get into comedy? What's your inspiration? How did you get into art? Looking into the future, how do you see it? What's your favorite artist or art movement? How do you see the NFT potential? And what are you going to do to keep in shape, keep healthy?
I'll just say no comment on all of those. We'll do that. We'll do them on a next episode, because we may not have a guest for the next episode. We may just be us again.
I think one more is good, and then we'll start.
Then we'll start inflicting our grief on the guests.
How many of these do you want to do before we release them?
I would say maybe 4, and then start releasing, and then we'll do 1 a week.
Right.
So we've got a month's worth in the bag.
Yeah, so people can start commenting and stuff after that, and then it'll be a conversation. That's what I want to do. I want to talk to people on it.
And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcasting platform, go to our information. All of our social links will be there. The same if you're watching us on YouTube. If you go below into the description box, all of our socials and any way you can get in touch with us will all be listed there. Please hit subscribe, like, bell button. Give us 5 stars on iTunes if you're listening on iTunes. Tell all your friends. Everyone, come and join in. And thanks for listening to episode 2. Well, cheers, mate. I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, chin up, dude. I look forward to seeing you again.
Good stuff. Right. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.